Hey guys, so today I want to share with you something a little bit different, and that's something I've been having a lot of fun with over the last week, and that's a crypto trading robot. And you might think, Chris, what are you doing with a crypto trading robot? Well, let me explain. So I've been following crypto for quite a while, and I've got the Coinbase app installed, and with that I get a lot of notifications, and it's literally like Ethereum's up 5%, it's down 10%, it's up 20%, it's down 5%. Every single day. It's so volatile, the market's up, it's down, and it's kind of just a bit crazy. And I thought to myself, well, surely there's got to be some way of taking advantage of this and kind of capitalizing on all this volatility up and down, and surely you can buy low and sell high. I've definitely been a hodler of crypto. I've kind of kept my crypto the whole time. It's been up, it's been down. Yes, I've made some really nice profits, but I've not really sold those profits and kind of realized any gains. So I thought, well, okay, the long-term goal of crypto is to buy it, hold it, and maybe in 10 or 20 years' time, it's going to be worth a fortune. But maybe along the way, there's going to be ways to kind of make more money. And I found this graphic that really illustrates it, which looks something like this. So the typical path of hodling looks like a straight line, which is really nice, when in fact, it's more like this. So there's ups, there's downs, there's giant craters. Yes, eventually we're hoping it's going to come up, but there's kind of a long, rocky road to get there. So this got me thinking there must be some kind of crypto robot out there, or some kind of script that can be created to buy and sell and take advantage of this. So I actually came across this software called pionx over on the Coin Bureau website. They did a nice review, and it was also mentioned on Voscoin, which I really like. He's a really nice, honest channel, and I thought, well, why don't I just give it a go? So what I actually did from there is, because the whole process does seem quite complicated, I reached out to the company, spoke to a guy there called Mario, who was actually really, really nice, and he actually did a couple of calls with me and explained the whole process and answered any questions I had, which luckily in the position I've got with some subscribers, it allows me to do that. So I thought, well, I'll kind of figure it out, give it a go, test it, and let you guys know what happens and see whether it's worthwhile using. So let's take a look at pionx. Pionx allows you to auto trade cryptocurrency with 16 free inbuilt trading bots. Now they work a little bit differently to other platforms. On other platforms, they are going to charge you a fee to use the service. So it's free on here. They just charge a small fee, which is 0.05%, which really is nothing. So although there's 16 different trading bots, there's really two main trading bots that you're going to use. There's something called a grid trading bot and something called an arbitrage bot. And I've split $1,000 into each of these to see how it goes. Now I think a lot of the terminology with a lot of crypto stuff does make it sound more complicated than it is, because you're thinking, what is a grid trading bot and how does it work? Well, let me make it much simpler. So let's take, for example, a typical chart. So it goes up, it goes down, and eventually we're hoping it's going to move upwards, which is our long-term goal of the crypto. So we're picking one we think is going to go up in a long-term basis. Now there's bots to take advantage of it coming down, but let's keep it simple. Now what this bot is going to allow you to do is set an upper limit and a lower limit. Now what this is saying is essentially just the price bracket in between where we want to buy crypto. So let's say, for example, the current price of Bitcoin is 44,000. We could say, okay, I want to run this bot between 40,000 and 50,000. Obviously, you can make that wider, which really is probably a better thing to do, because really it fluctuates a lot and you can take that approach. Now what you're going to do within there is set up grids. So you can specify how many grids the bot is going to create. Now what that's going to do is split your investment into tiny pieces, and it's not going to use all of your investment, it's just going to use a certain amount. And that's going to create grids within there. So let's say, for example, I picked 50 different grids. So let's see how this works in real time. The price goes up and down, and we've set our brackets between 40,000 and 50,000. Now, the grids are going to create a grid across the system. And what that's going to do is, you see these lines? Well, as the price moves up, it's going to sell the crypto. And as it moves down, it's going to buy the crypto. So what it's aiming to do is buy low and sell high. So eventually, as the price moves, it's going to hit those points and sell your crypto. So as the price moves, it's going to hit those points and sell your crypto. So with it going up and down and up and down, you're hitting those buy and sells within that range. Now what it's going to do, if you go out to that limit at the top, it's going to sell all of your cryptocurrency into USDT, because you've hit all of the sells and you're cashing out your profit. If the price drops back down into your range, it's going to start working again. Likewise, if it drops down, it's going to hold your positions, but what it's going to do is wait until it comes back into that price range to start working again. That's why it can be much better to set a much wider price range. And I'll show you in a minute how that works on mine, but I just wanted to show you the basic principles of how a grid trading bot works. The second kind of bot is a little bit different, and that is an arbitrage bot. So I've done arbitrage before where I buy and sell products. I'm buying it from one place and selling it in another place for a profit. And essentially, this is all this bot is doing. Pionx are actually based in Singapore. They're really popular over there and they've got a really wide audience. They've got the same registration in the US as Binance and Huobi. And they're actually one of the biggest market makers for Huobi, which basically means that they get a really low fee, allowing you to buy and sell crypto for really low charges. So what I'm going to do is show you an example of how it looks on my app and how it looks on my desktop, because I think it's actually much easier to start setting up the bots on your phone, although it's pretty easy on both, but the phone is much easier. So if we take a look within my app, you can see here's my balance. So I've got $1,000 invested, and over the past 7 days, I've made $13. Now this is a basic interface. You can see at the top here the kind of license that they've got, and this kind of shows you some news, etc. If I go across now to markets, it shows you the markets, which is basically the kind of price of different coins. But if I go into trade, this is where you start seeing the bots. So you can see here, I've got a bot set up, which is my Bitcoin to USDT grid trading bot. So I've invested $500 into this bot, and over 7 days, it's made me $10. I'll explain a little bit later just what these numbers mean and how much potential this has. But just to show you a little bit about the different kind of bots, if I was to come onto here, you can create a bot. And within here, you can see the different kind of bots that are available. So typically, if you're just starting out, you would use a grid trading bot, which is the one I've just explained, but there's much more different ways you can go in here. So within the grid trading bot, for example, you can create it, and what I've done is just use the AI strategy. So this basically does it for you. So this gives me a typical APR, which is 64% over the year, which is fantastic. The price range is kind of the range, which is that lower and upper limit that I explained to you earlier. The profit per grid, so it just shows you how much profit it could make per grid it creates. So there'd be 99 different lines on the chart, and that's up to you how many you would set. So then it kind of tells me how much investment I need, which at the moment is $520, but you could change that if you didn't want to invest all of that money. And this little slider at the bottom would say how much of my investment that I could put into it, depending on how much I've got on my balance. At the moment it's showing as 0 because I've invested all of my money. But the other option here would be to go for a manual setting if you're a bit braver, which is something I'm going to do in the future. So here you can set your lower limit. So for example, if you thought it was going to go all the way down to 10,000, which it might or not, and you might put the upper limit as something like 100,000 because you think it's going to go up. So you can do that within there. Now you can set the grids between 2 and 200. Let's say we would just go for 100 within there. And then what it will do is say the minimum investment. So within there, you can kind of put anything over $488. Now, if you wanted to spend less money, you could actually just reduce the limit to make a smaller price gap, or use less grids, which would make it much cheaper. Now, if you wanted to spend less money to test it, you could actually use something called Milli Bitcoin, which is MBTC, which allows you to invest with much less money. So that's how you could set a grid trading bot up. Within here, you've got some other ones, for example, Bitcoin Moon. What that's going to do is basically create the same thing for Bitcoin, and it's going to do the same thing, but between the lower 15,000 and the upper 150,000 with 500 grids. So if you think there's a very wide price range and it's going to go up eventually, you can just open that and hold it long term, which is something I'm going to be looking to do. You've also got much more advanced bots. If you didn't think that was advanced enough, you've got infinity grids, leverage grids, margin grids, reverse grids, smart trade, trailing sell, trailing buy. So I'm going to be testing out some more of these and kind of investigating it and learning more about the bots. If we take a look here on the desktop, you can see my grids and how it's created the chart. So you can see the current price is in the middle, which is this dotted line, which is currently at 46,000 at the moment. My upper limit is right at the top up here, and my bottom is here. If we zoom in and you see all of these lines, when it hits these, it's going to go sell, 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 sell. And when it goes down, it's going to go buy, buy, buy. So I'm going to be buying more positions, and as the price goes up, I'm going to be making much more profit. So if we take a look at my main page, you can see my account in more detail. So my total balance at the moment is $1,013. It's changing all the time. If we scroll down, you can see my profit allocation and also my portfolio, which kind of demonstrates how my cryptocurrency is held within here. So it's split up into my Ethereum, which is my arbitrage bot, and I've set my grid trading just to work on Bitcoin. You can set up multiple bots, but these are probably the best beginner-friendly ones to start with. And in my overview screen for my bot, you can see my investment is $500, and my profit is $10 within that bot, which is 2%. To get the full profit, you actually have to add together this number plus this number to get your full profit. But it does it all for you. I'm just showing you in more detail how it works, but really you can just use the app and look at your profit each day. And that is a great thing about this. It is a kind of set and forget approach. You just invest and leave it. And some of the profits I've seen over a long-term period are really impressive. Now the second bot I've got up, like I mentioned, I've split half of my money into the grid trading and the other half is into my arbitrage bot, which is the same thing that Voscoin demonstrated, which is actually a more low risk option. People put an awful lot of money in this and kind of make money off the back of fees. So the goal of this one is to help you earn 15 to 50% a year with really low risk. Now I have to admit this is a much more complicated one to get your head around, but it just kind of depends how you think about it. I will leave a link to an article down below which explains it in a lot more detail, but essentially what you're doing is taking advantage of fees. So if we take, for example, we've got 10,000 USDT and we were going to buy some Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin is 10,000. It's going to transfer 5,000 to one and 5,000 to another one. It's going to buy 0.5 Bitcoin in one, 5,000 in the spot, and short 0.5 in the other one. So essentially what you're doing is if the funding rate is say 0.05%, you'll get 2.5 USDT. And you're able to do that 3 times per day. And the way that works, it would mean your APR is actually 27%. Now it is very complicated, but essentially what you need to think about, you're buying it in one place and selling it in another, and you're taking advantage of the middleman. So you're making money just on the fees, you're not really risking money as long as the funding rate is high enough. So for this one, all I've done is invest 500. I've set it as a kind of set and forget approach, and here you can see my results for the week. So you can see actually at the moment, because the funding rate is lower, I'm only making about 7% APR. And really they've done that to demonstrate if you got the same rate today, how much you would make across a year. Because obviously you see here, the return on investment is 0.0064%, which doesn't seem like an awful lot of money, but that 3 times a day does add up. And you can see if I scroll down, when the funding rate was higher, I actually made more money. So right up to kind of 59% here. So that would mean if it stayed at that rate, I get 59% return a year. But obviously it does fluctuate a lot between the different fees. There's another 60%, there's 28%, there's kind of a 67, a 35. So it varies quite a lot, but it does kind of average out. So you can see on my account, my APR today is 7%, but over the past 7 days, I've had 34.22%. So that means if it carried on like that over the year, I would make 34% on my money. So that seems like a really interesting approach. You can just put some money in, leave it to do its magic, come back and see what's happened. If you were worried about the funding rate being down for a really long period of time, you could actually just check in. If it starts going negative, turn it off and then see when it's positive again, turn it back on. It's really that simple. I think with that one, I'm literally just going to leave it long term and see where it ends up. So overall, if we take a look at my 2 bots over the past 7 days, on my arbitrage bot, I've made $3, which is a return of 0.6. On my grid trading bot, I've made $10, which is a return of 2%. So you might think, well, $13, that's just not much money at all. What's the point in running this? I can make far more money if I just buy this crypto or this coin. Well, let me just show you how impressive this is. So yes, I bought a coin, I've left it, but really it's kind of gone up and down. I've made some profit, which is great, but I'm not going to sell that profit. It might come back down, it might come back up. So this is a really interesting tool that you can use. So if we look at those 2 rates on a compound interest calculator, let's take a look at the arbitrage first. So we've got a $500 investment. Our return at the moment on screen is 0.62%. So let's just put that in, 0.62. Over a year, just doing that, we would get a nice return of 37%. So over a year, I'm going to earn $189 on a $500 investment. If the grid trading bot did the similar sort of thing and I got this same return, and I think this is kind of a good week to do it because the market has been quite down. It's not just been a steady stream up, which would kind of skew the results. It's been up and down like a yo-yo. Welcome to the world of crypto. Well, with this one, so I've put the same stats in at that return, which I've made 2.13%. So let's just type that in, 2.13%, $996 in the year. So I'm getting almost 200% of my money, $500 to nearly $1,500 within a year. If I was to hold that just in Bitcoin, I might make a good return, but I'm not quite sure I would triple my money. And I don't feel like if you're willing to leave this, there's much risk involved at all. Yes, you could lose money, but realistically, if you're willing to hold it long term and don't panic when it goes negative, overall, you're going to end up a winner. Because overall, we all know the price of Bitcoin in 10 or 20 years time is going to be higher. if nothing else, just because of the supply and demand. And what I really like about this is you do get them nice alerts throughout the day, so every 8 hours I'm getting a notification that I've made some money. So I think my plans going forward with this, I'm just going to leave the arbitrage bot as it is. With the Bitcoin one, I might actually widen the parameters so it's going to last a much longer time and I can invest some more money. I hope that hasn't sounded too complicated. Actually, it's far simpler than it looks. It took me less than a minute to set up both of my bots. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down below. Let me know, have you guys tried any of these crypto trading bots before? And let me know whether you think this would make a great series, because I think it'd be really interesting to show my results, maybe after a month or 3 months or 12 months. I think it'd be really interesting to see what profit it's made and see how the returns pan out. At first I was quite skeptical, but actually it does seem really solid. So I hope you found that as fun as I did. I think these things are really interesting to try. If you did, please smash that like button, keep making those profits, and I'll see you guys in the next video. 'Cause I just wanna see the light.